Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Okay, I am going to be talking about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, directed by Rhys Frake-Waterfield. Tagline is, not wanting to live in the shadows any longer, Winnie the Pooh, Piglet, Owl, and Tigger take their fight to the town of Ashdown, leaving a bloody trail of death and mayhem in their wake. That's not exactly what happens, but sure, we'll go with it. Okay, I'm getting was it deja vu with Hatchet 4, Hatchet Victor Crowley all over again. Because now we have Christopher Robin's been accused of everything that happened to 100 Acre Wood. And he's living like a pariah, though he's went on to train to be a doctor. But everyone thinks he's did it. It's almost ashy slashy, that he's able to live his life, but everyone's like pointing the finger at him. But the doesn't have the fun in it. This is a movie trying to take itself way too seriously. That's my sort of complaint. It's fine, it's carrying on, but you can tell that this director I've seen, what was that, The Curse of Humpty Dumpty. That the guy does horror slashers and stuff, but he's no sense of fun about him. I think that's just his thing. I think he takes himself too seriously. And he's just one of them types. And it's even the first Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, there's an element of that. He's, trying to take himself, I'm a serious director sort of thing, and not having fun with the property or the premise of the idea. And it's a shame because obviously the idea is ridiculous, but you can have a lot of fun with parody, if that makes sense, and you can make it into just gore fest. But say the V, basically, so this has happened a few years after the events of the first movie, because we're trying to pick up his life again, and he's going to therapy. In fact, that's something I need to double check. Is that the same actor? Because this guy he's making an effort this time. I didn't really buy the Christopher Robin the first time. Oh, because it's a different actor, that's why. Right, so we've Scott Chambers playing Christopher Robin. The first guy, if you've seen our review, didn't twig with him at all. He's just very wooden. This guy is actually, you can believe he's Christopher Robin. So he's going to therapy. He's trying to remember events of the past. Now they've thrown in his younger brother being kidnapped when he was a kid. So it's almost like they've stolen the whole story arc from Five Nights at Freddy's. Do you know that what's his face? That guy's trying to remember how his brother got kidnapped, and he's going through the memories and hypnotize himself and all that. Except this, he's being done by a therapist. It's like they've completely ripped off that storyline, which don't know, obviously for the reveal, but I don't think the reveal really helped this out. So this is one of these movies you kind of have to switch your brain off. I mean, just disengage the logic centers to enjoy it. It starts off good. We've got a few girls in a caravan trying to do seance with the Ouija board and stuff, and we get our sort of first kill of the movie. And it gives the impression, actually, at the start, that this could be a bit of fun. That it's just, the characters on a rampage. As the tagline sort of says. But after that happens, the first three girls get taken out. The movie kind of stutters and just goes, ba-dump, down just a crawling pace. And then it's almost like it has a build up all over again. That's very formulaic, the first kills. Oh, we see this actor, but we know who they are. So that's okay when you're introducing a brand new character in a franchise, doing the sort of the first kill and that, but it's very cliche. And we'll complain about Tremors 2, they did that. And you're like, yeah, we know what it's like. And you spent so long with the first movie building up the tension that to start off with the first kill they got, you don't need to. It's the same as this. They've already done the groundwork in the first movie. So we didn't really need to start off with the first kill and then for the movie to dip the way it did, sort of go to this crawling pace. But we'll have this sort of going on, and the girls get taken out. Then there's people that are out searching the woods that believe Christopher. So we've got almost two camps: the ones that think he did it, and then the ones that believe him. So you have another group of folks out in the woods, and this is where we get the introduction of Isle. Well, we'll get him in the first one, but we're getting Isle introduced, and he's the almost sentient one and the leader of the pack, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's all right. I like Isle's character out of the lot of them. I like Isle's character the best. I get it, the why sort of Isle, except they're making him maniacal. That's cool. And he's got a purpose and he's got a thought behind him. Where maybe the premise of the first movie that, Christopher went away, so they stopped talking. That wasn't really thought out. What I'll give this movie is it feels like it has more purpose to it. So you feel like the creatures of 100 Acre Wood have more of the want to fulfill a destiny. And they've effectively went into hiding. So in the first movie, obviously, we had the houses that built, Pooh's house and the rest of it, and sort of dilapidated. But they've now almost retreated to a cave. It's a hollowed out tree, but still, it's like they've retreated to hide from people. And the sort of Isle is serving as the unofficial narrator for this. A strange thing it did, though, they have the narrator again at the start, and they bring the narrator in 2 or 3 times during this, which to me took away. It was overused. Fair enough having the narrator at the beginning, but when they're bringing the narrator in 2 or 3 times during the movie when it doesn't need it, I thought that was a bit much. So I'm getting the impression the director, this guy's a wee bit all over the place, and he doesn't quite know what he wants to do with his property. And it's a bit of a shame because this could be like a cult classic. This could just be cheesy popcorn, fun goodness. But the movie's getting in its own way, pretty much like the first one. There's just element of, like I said, the director taking himself too seriously. I think he's suffering from Ridley Scott syndrome. All of a sudden this is taken off. He wasn't expecting to. Now he's like, I gotta do stuff to show how I'm a super smart director. And he's tripped his own movie up. But that's fine. We've got Christopher. We meet Christopher's family. He's got a younger sister, and this is where the storyline of the brother, which I don't believe was even brought in the first one. And we're getting the hint that Pooh may have taken his brother, and through the hypnotherapy, his fluffy idea of a childhood, raising these creatures isn't what he thinks. And once again, it's almost like the movie's deconstruct itself. It's like the second one's ashamed of the first one. If that makes sense. That's the impression I'm getting. Do you got that you're watching something, you got a feeling of wrongness, that what's being presented on the screen just not quite there. And now I'm thinking about it, because I've only just finished watching it before I come on here. It's like the second movie thinks it's better or it's turning its nose up at the first one. And it's like, we're a serious movie now because we've got more money and people are behind this. And it shows as you're going through it. And it's a shame. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of fun, bit of goofiness. All you have to do is have a reasonably coherent plot. The movie starts from A, goes through to C, start, middle, and end. Make sure it's decent pacing, because that's always the thing with slashers. Slashers have to be evenly paced or have a trajectory of build up. What you're getting with this is like blips, on the old seismograph. Rampant action, slowed. Rampant action, slowed. And it does it about 4 times during the movie. So that's not good, because it sort of builds you up and takes you right out of it. Builds you up, takes you right out of it because the pacing's a bit off. We then start to find out there's another storyline thrown in. So we've got this guy Cavendish is following Christopher Robin and keeping an eye on the police radio frequencies. And it's old school sort of police radio frequencies as well. Like most radios now are digital and encrypted, so you can't scan them. But needless to say, yeah, we've got this guy. So we're starting to find out that there's a whole slew of kidnappings, which nobody's mentioned before. And it may or may not be related to Winnie the Pooh and friends. And we've now got a mad scientist involved and experiments. And it just gets... There's no need. This is somebody trying to build like a 10-movie franchise. You can tell that he's telegraphing that a mile away. And he's really taking himself too seriously with it. He's like, oh, this has to be a serious plot now. And it has to be really convoluted. And it has to be this and it has to be that. And we'll have to throw this in. Like I said, it's just all over the place for what it is. At the end of the day, this is just a straight up slasher. They've improved Pooh's mask. Piglet doesn't last too long in this movie, but it's relevant later on. So it's one of those franchises. I'll leave it at that. But the whole build up to Tigger was well overplayed. Like we've seen Tigger, with no Tiggers in it. I've seen pictures of them in the trailers and stuff, but the movie itself did a whole build up the reveal of Tigger actually in the movie. Once again, it's like this guy has an idea. He's read in a textbook somewhere how to do a build up, but he's never actually watched movies or enjoyed them. So he's crunched the numbers. He's followed the formula. Done all the stuff with a Bunsen burner. Oh, this is a formula for a fun slasher movie. He's got ChatGPT to do it. And it really is that sort of wooden. It's that, plastic element to it, which is what detracts from this franchise. I think once or the reviews mixed for this, I know this is one of my catch-up movies, by the way, in case you're wondering. I'm only doing it now. Obviously, there's people that just don't like it, didn't like the idea, didn't, whatever. But I think the reviews were mixed on this, and I can see it. If you're with a bunch of mates, a few beers, sticking it on and just going, ha, at the kills, this movie will do what you want. If you're actually watching it, you're going to be scratching your head a bit. Like the bit where Christopher Robin gets randomly sacked at hospital because people put in complaints, completely unjustified. And yeah, they can just do that. Now, obviously, they can't say he works for the NHS, so they did like a CGI logo, NS, like a parody of NHS, if that makes sense. But you just don't sack people. There's procedures, unions and stuff. And also, if he was having that hard a time and he trained to become a doctor, he'd be anywhere in the world. You know what I mean? I think they've got him as a junior doctor or whatever, but still, he could have done his residency anywhere outside of Ashford, and he would have been, bloody went to London. Nobody would give a toss. He'd be forgotten about, just a nameless face. So that sort of premise of things doesn't make sense. If he was in an isolated village and he was a village GP, I would get it. But he has options and he didn't take options. So that's on him. And it's a bit of a lazy storyline anyway. Like this has been done 100 times. And usually those sort of storylines work is if the protagonist or the accused doesn't have an option to get out. So they're not a doctor for a start. They don't have money. they're under bond. What is it, bond or bail or something, or what's the other thing? Probation, right? They're I mean that oh that's sort of they're under that sort of stuff, so they can't leave, or they're tied because of a family. I mean, there's a reason they're staying in the location, and it's not their choice. They have to wait a certain amount of time. Christopher Robin does not have this in the movie. In fact, if he had moved away from home, his parents are having an easier time as well because they're scratching stuff on the side of the car and that. Once again, even that was so lazily done. Just you didn't believe it. You're not feeling sympathy for the character because it's just flat. So anyway, he's cracking on. His girlfriend, not girlfriend, Lexi. Yeah, we've heard that before. Having one of the girlfriend, not girlfriend, they're together, not together, is played out a bit, and it's as you would expect. So we've got the attacks happening again. One of the people that survived, the folks going out in the woods hunting, happens to know Christopher Robins, and just as he's getting sacked from the hospital, he comes in. So we'll have that plot that basically reveal what's happening. Yada yada yada. Stuff happens. The plot of I'm trying not to spoil this in case anybody still hasn't seen it yet and wants to watch it, but the Mad Science plot gets revealed and who, what, whatever. It's not explicitly said, but I think I know where this went. And something's explained. And you can guess who one of the characters are. Then we decide to run. This is the bit that doesn't make sense. The whole premise of the movie is supposed to be they're going on a rampage in the town, but they're not. They're picking off random people and they're going and hiding again. So it's not that at all. And then there's just rave being organised. I suppose he's one of the illegal raves or what. And you can tell this guy's a middle class twat who doesn't know what a rave is, and he's only a youngster as well. But he's basically trying to hold an illicit rave, or in his head what it looks like, and it's just a bunch of posers. And it's not anything like that. So this guy is just, I don't know his background, but I can guess that he's well to do, silver spoon in his mouth, sort of guy that hasn't experienced life, because it comes across on screen that he doesn't have a bloody clue. And also he's Americanized a lot of things. Like, we don't say, if a police officer or police constable speaking, you don't go officer, it's constable. It's silly things like that. It's like, mate, you've lived online and you've just read your stuff online and you haven't actually spoke to anybody. But yeah, that all happens. We get the reveal of Tigger, and it's like a bad Freddy Krueger, his voice. And once again, there's no fun in it. It's like this guy's watched Nightmare on Elm Street and he's watched or he hasn't watched them, he's read about them. I think he's done a study. He's done a study on slashers and what slashers are meant to be. He hasn't watched and enjoyed them. And that is so obvious with this, and that's what really detracts from these movies. Is that he just doesn't get it. There's no sense of fun to be had. And the thing is, if he's not having fun, if the story's not showing fun, the audience can't either. And that's probably why people just aren't on board with us. And like I said, I've seen some of his other work outside of Winnie the Pooh, and it is worse. Like, it is completely devoid of any personality whatsoever. So there's that. It runs up to its climax. You've got decides to take revenge in the family, but once again makes no sense. Especially when things get revealed, you're like, it's just convoluted and up the left. And yeah, that's it. It comes to a conclusion, and it gets set up for another movie with a mid-screen credit, whatever. So that's that. I would imagine, did it do? Oh, flip's sake, I should have looked it up. I think this did well enough that there might be a third one at some stage. But really, this franchise doesn't have any legs. It's already turned itself apart and going in circles. And the nostalgia, this is relying on nostalgia, let's be honest. And the nostalgia's run out with it, so I don't see it going any further. Really. I imagine if a third movie's made, it's not going to do well at all. People just be like, meh. They'll not even be annoyed by it. They'll just go, yeah, whatever, and switch off. The first one had like the whole nostalgia thing, the whole outrage at doing this, and flipping fairy tales and children's stories have been used for horror movies for decades. So this fake outrage about it was uncalled for. And yet, some of it does feel manufactured because if you look at, especially indie horror movies, everything's been done. We've covered a few on the channel. But yeah, there you go. That's that. Didn't hate it, right? Didn't absolutely hate it, if I'm giving that impression. But I wasn't blown away by it either. And I wasn't, like, I wouldn't watch this a second time. It's not one of them movies you just stick in for a laugh. Like, you've seen it once, just say you've seen it. And that's it. Bin to the back of your memory. That's where it goes. But there you go. That's that one. So let me know what you think. Have you seen this? Do you disagree? Do you agree? Let me know what your thoughts. And until next time, keep updated with the channel, do the type of cranky things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.